Well met, fellow adventurers, and welcome to episode 16 of Holy Rollerz, a 4th edition D&D clerical campaign where each of the characters can channel divinity, and the vampire who worships death is more merciful than the bard who worships love. Welcome. Welcome, everyone. So
we're breaking stereotypes.
Yeah, we're breaking stereotypes. We are so progressive. We are breaking all kinds of stereotypes here. So just to let you know, we are joined tonight by a Holy Rollerz official artist, Benny Boo. I don't know if you want to use your last name on here.
That's fine.
All right. So Mr. Boo is our official artist, and he is joining us tonight as our what are we on? Our second guest star now here, and following in good footsteps. So just want to remind you, too, we are up to 35 subscribers on Sage of Sorcery Productions on YouTube, which is where we post our videos. Once we get to 50, we will be giving away one of these lovely dice cases. These dice vaults are beautiful. We will be giving one of these away. It does not have to say Holy Rollerz on it. I'm sure that John Gaitan, who is our partner, would be happy to go ahead and emboss that with something else, like a dragon or a chicken, if you're into that. Whatever works for you. I don't know what your spirit animal is, and I don't want to judge. So
some sort of dragon chicken.
Awesome. Yeah, a dricken or a chaggin, something. Yeah, something like that. So anyway, yeah, there we go. All right. So we are going to go ahead and get started. Now for a bit of lore. The Adari Republic and all the countries in the Eastlands Alliance were once occupied by the Jesher Empire, a militant colonizing power that maintains dominion over the entire Western continent. During the occupation, the ruthless samurai overlords oppressed the common folk, and the cabal of sorcerers known as the Enforcers hunted down all practitioners of magic. While the Adari Republic and the rest of the Eastland are dominated by humans, elves, and halflings, the Jesher Empire is dominated by the Draken, a race of dragonborn created by the interbreeding and blood rituals of great dragons with barbarian tribes. Because of this, Draken range in appearance to slightly almond eyes with a few patches of scales to a full-scaled covered boy with great draconic wings. The Draken are all considered nobility in the Jesher Empire and serve as the de facto ruling class of the empire. In the Adari Republic and the rest of the Eastlands, however, Dragonborn are a reminder of the Jeshanese occupation, and any Dragonborn is going to be met with suspicion and even open derision. So, good information to know. And now for a brief recap. Last time on Holy Rollerz, the clerics defended the Chapel of Bestera from Dr. Fields, a druid of the faith of man, his bodyguard, a mercenary named Furine, and the 4 red-cap bandits that came crashing through the stained glass windows. As the battle began, Dr. Fields summoned a wall of thorns, and Furine dropped caltrops, hedging the clerics in. This turned out to be beneficial to Dr. Fields, who took the form of a crow and flew out the window, but detrimental to Furine, who was pummeled repeatedly and forced to surrender, which he did, unabashedly offering to switch sides. Moments later, Sister Contratia came running from the back of the chapel, carrying a magical relic of the church, which allowed her to take the form of an angel of protection, guarding the most wounded each round. The Redcaps proved to be troublesome again as they fought to the death and managed to outright kill poor Brother Havernell, the halfling cleric who was guiding the chapel in the place of the arrested Hope Master. Perhaps even more disturbing, the Redcaps again fought to the death and upon being awash in blood, transformed into fey goblinoid forms and tried to escape out of the same windows they entered. 2 of them managed to flee, but the clerics slew another 2. Now they stand in a chapel awash in blood, with Brother Ferrante weeping over the body of his fellow cleric, and Sister Contratia collapsed, exhausted from her transformation. So, that, my friends, is basically where we left things off. And now we are going to go ahead and switch gears a little bit, and we're going to leap across distances here to Morocon. Morocon, are you ready?
Howdy, howdy.
Howdy, howdy. Morocon, you awaken to a red dawn, as you have many times before now, the frequency of which never seems to diminish your sense of alarm. You stand on a hill overlooking a large city that you have come to know as Horta in the Adari Republic. A sense of dread fills you again as the empty air above the city bursts into flame. A wavy and jagged fissure opens in the sky into a realm of nightmares. From the mouth of this wound in the sky, hellfire spews forth in sudden gouts, setting fire to buildings across the city, accompanied by the most piteous wailing of tormented spirits. Then, without warning, squadrons of bat-winged armored fiends descend upon the inhabitants of the city as they run screaming in the streets. Some of the fiends simply skewer folk on the end of barbed pitchforks, and others pass into their bodies, possessing them completely. Chain devils march dozens of trapped weeping souls up into the fissure on a brimstone staircase that ascends to the portal. Just as suddenly, a white light bursts into being in the middle of the city. You look again and see dozens of men and women of all different races in white tabards with a circle of gauntleted hands emblazoned on the chest. They flow through the city like a cleansing water, giving battle to the devils, and you are filled with the sense that that is a battle that is just beginning. At a supernatural speed, you begin to move backwards away from Horta City, down a road with towns and settlements passing you by, until you finally stop in the middle of a large town by a well, marked with a sign that says Winter Run Chapel, South. You get the sense that the sign is a beginning of a long road, combined with an urgency to find your way there, and then you awaken. Your heart racing and all desire for sleep replaced with a hunger to be on your way. And so, that, Morelcon, is where you, my friend, shall begin.
Yeah.
And so I'm assuming that you get up, and I'm assuming that you get a move on, because if you don't, that's really going to mix things up here. Anyway, alrighty. So
I'm just going to sleep in today.
I changed my mind. That's sleepy. Okay. Alrighty. So, Morelcon, you wake up to that vision and you realize that you have to make haste. And so I'm assuming that you probably do, because the urgency of those feelings continue. Now, gentlemen, you are all standing around the body of poor Brother Havernell, and Brother Ferrante, he's a little bit older, a little bit more grizzled, is standing there in plate armor that clearly doesn't fit him, holding an enormous club that he was dragging across the floor that he couldn't really lift very efficiently. And he just stands there weeping in this suit of armor that doesn't fit him over Brother Havernell's stabbed and not mutilated, but certainly a violated body. And Sister Contratia is up on top of the podium in the middle of the chapel, unconscious.
Where did Furine go? Did he leave?
Furine's standing there. Leave through the barred front door. I think you'd notice if he left.
Well, there's still ropes and windows. He may have tried to,
Yeah. No, Furine is just kind of standing there. He's standing there with his hands like, this, like looking around, like trying to look like he feels bad or like sorry. If he had a hat, he'd be pulling his hat off. So he just kind of adjusts at his eye patch and tries to be reverent.
Ferrante, looks like you have something to actually clean now.
Okay. Kizik, he looks up at you.
Sorry about the other guy.
He just looks up and gives you this like horrified, piteous look. And he goes, "Have you no respect for the dead, Mr. Gizik?" And then he does get up and he looks around the chapel and he goes, oh my. And then he gets a look at the glass windows and he goes, oh. And then he looks at the pew where you fell over, Gizik, where there's blood and just mess everywhere. And he's like, ah. And he releases this kind of gradual series of disturbed noises.
I want to go to the back room and see if I can find a blanket to wrap up Havernell's body in.
Okay. You can quite easily find a blanket. Everything's kind of in disarray. There are things that have been thrown around, possibly because Brother Havernell or Brother Ferrante was trying to find the armor and get himself ready for combat. Who knows? But in any case, that is certainly what you find. So you find a blanket.
I'm gonna take it out and just kind of nod and say in the mind link to my companions, let's take care of this for them.
Okay. As you come back with the blanket, Sister Contratia groans on top of the pulpit, and she seems to be coming to. But she looks very, very tired, and she looks very, very weak. And she raises herself up on her arms, but like you can tell, it's taking kind of all of her energy to kind of push her way up. And she manages to get up to a standing position while Brother Ferrante kind of wanders around the chapel with his hands on his face like this, kind of being horrified and assessing the damage all at once. And that's basically what happens. And then something even more disturbing than that happens. From the upper right corner of the chapel, you hear the sound of fire, like a bonfire, like just fire flaring in the window. And 2 seconds later, one of the red caps that crawled out the window comes frantically climbing back through the window, coming down the rope. And behind him is an absolutely enormous man who is just quickly climbing down the rope after him and gets a hold of him. And Ben, what does he do to that little red cap?
He picks him up by the throat and doesn't allow him to speak anymore and promptly snaps his neck.
And he drops, and there stands this absolutely enormous gentleman with a red cap whose neck he crushed in his hand, and in his other hand, he's got the other red cap. He's got two, and they're small, and they look small in his hands because he's so enormous. What else does he look like?
He's, well, imagine a big, rather shiny golden iguana about the size of Shaquille O'Neal.
Okay. Golden Shaq iguana it is.
All right.
All right. You turn around, and there is a host of people in the chapel that you see. What is he wearing?
He's covered in scales. He's in some places the scales are thicker than others. He has a symbol that is branded to his chest. He has robes tied around his waist with a high waist. So he's got what looks like or could possibly be pants, maybe a bit of a monk's skirt. Can't really quite tell because there's a lot of cloth that's wrapped around his waist there.
Okay. All righty. All right. Well, you turn around, and who says what first? Other than snap.
Is the other goblinoid dead in my hands? Are they both dead?
Yeah,
now?
you already killed him.
Okay. Cool.
Not only is he dead, but that's the one that you scorched.
Oh, good. No interruptions then.
Yeah, he's dead and crispy.
Anduriel doesn't say anything, but he quietly and sort of without making too much ado of himself moves into a sort of a flanking position so that he's to the side of this newcomer while the other two are maybe in front of them.
Do I recognize the symbol on his chest?
Do you want to move around to get a good look at it?
Well, yeah. If it's branded on his chest, I want to see if I can tell what it is.
Okay. So, Anduriel, you're circling him, yes?
Yes.
Okay. So, Lachlan, you approach, and you get a look at him, and it is the symbol. You want to describe it, Ben?
It's so he's got it's a picture of a blazing torch with a sun over the top, and then a moon and a star on the sides.
So, do you get a look at that, Lachlan? You can make a knowledge religion check. You need a 10.
You probably won't need much.
Got it.
Okay, what did you get total? 'Cause the higher you get, the more I can tell you.
I got a 16.
Okay, so with a 16, I will tell you that you've identified the symbol that has been kind of tattooed or etched into his chest scales is the symbol of the goddess Hemina. And you know that Hemina is the goddess of light. She's the goddess of all light. She's the one who commands the movement of the sun, the stars, and the moon, and whatnot. So she's also the goddess of exploration and guidance. And so he would appear to have her symbol. Now, because the sun is in the apex of the holy symbol, you suspect that he is a cleric in the service of the sun, or what someone in the Church of Light would say in the service of the sun.
And doesn't it seem strange that a draconic creature would worship an Eastland god?
Well, you don't have much experience with Draken. You've met Draken before because Talispoon is a coastal city, and it has, like we say in Spanish, aire todo. There's a little bit of everything there, right? So you've met Draken before, and there aren't a ton of them in the Eastlands. There are some clans. There are even some clans in the Adari Republic, but it is odd. You don't see them. This far east.
Well, and even if they were, wouldn't they typically still retain the ancestral worship of Jeshur as opposed to an Eastland god?
They probably would. They don't tend to be a religious lot, and when they are, it's often ancestor worship. So not only is his presence unusual, but the degree of draconic blood that he is showing you is unusual. Most Dragonborn in Ienia are not full Dragonborn looking. They look human with somewhat Eastern features, you might say, with maybe some patches of scales. So this dude has got dragon blood coming out of his wazoo. So,
and it's getting caught up in all that cloth.
Yeah.
So Lachlan will step right up close to him and just kind of look at the two red caps and says, "Well, thanks for that."
My pleasure.
Are you polymorphed or a druid or what are you?
When does the spell end on you? That's
Some sort of...
I am what I am.
Well,
hey, me too.
Hashtag me too. Okay. All right.
Let me crack open my can of spinach. I am what I am.
Okay, that's beautiful.
Lachlan says, "Well, damn," and he just holds out his arm like, "Well met."
Okay.
I drop one of the red caps to the floor with a rather hefty thud, and reach out to shake his hand.
He says, "I'm guessing by that symbol on your chest, you're not part of the faith of man, and if you're not part of the faith of man, then you're welcome. You're welcome here."
And Duriel, from behind him, speaks Draconic. He says, no, he said...
Are the rest of us going to be let in on that, or did you just want to let that in?
I was just going to see if Ben knew what I said.
Well,
he
all right.
Says,
well, I do speak Draconic.
Right. I'm catching a definite Draconic vibe, so Anduriel speak Draconic. He's going to try it. He's just going to say, what are you doing here?
And I look over a little bit and see a dark figure from the crowd speaking Draconic back at me, and I would speak Draconic back, which kind of I would guess sounds like a pair of bricks rubbing against each other that have been lit on fire.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it would probably be something along the lines of, "And who are you, tainted by the Dark One?"
My name's Anduriel. That is all you need to know. What are you doing here?
Are you still talking Draconic?
I will drop the Draconic at this point and speak clearly so everyone can hear me. The goddess of light has lit my path to this group. But had I known that she would have led me to one that was touched by the taint of the evil one, I would have second-guessed her command.
Well,
He's not that bad. I mean, really, he's not that bad.
Anduriel says, "You're more than welcome to leave. We already have an ugly giant in the group."
Sorry, the position of ugly giant has already been filled. Oh.
The goddess Hemina does not lie. She has led me to this group for a purpose, for which I am still unclear. But
I can clarify. It's to kick the teeth out of the faith of man that have come here serving devils and working with red caps and doing all kinds of shenanigans.
Okay, you, Moralcon, you've never heard of the faith of man.
This is true. I know not of the faith of man. Is that who these are? I prod a thump with my toe, a rather large clawed toe.
They're just minions of natural, humans and elves that are working a long con on behalf of a devil to usurp control and destroy the faith of the people of the Republic, and we're the opposition.
It is these devils that I seek. If they call themselves faith of man, consider myself an ally.
Well, I don't know if you want to fight with us or go it alone. But if we'd love to point you in the direction of Mrs. Waterford. If you could do to her what you just did to these little squirts, that would be great.
The goddess of light has led me to you. I presume it is so that you could help me upon my quest. And if it is to take out these devils, I will need more than just me.
Hey.
If you would direct me in the path, I would be happy to show you the way.
Well, we don't know what the path is yet, but we're on it.
Hey, you nudge that guy. Brother Ferrante comes back and he sees the dead bodies that you dropped on the floor and he goes, "Oh!"
We got some more meat for you, Ferrante.
Okay. And he looks down at the dead bodies on the floor. One of them scorched and the other one is just, with his neck like that. And he goes, "Who is he?"
An ally.
Hold that thought. An excellent question. Might we have a sidebar here, Bard? We're gonna go away. No, I want the dragon. I want the lizard to see it.
Okay.
That we're
right.
physically going over to a different area to have a discussion here.
In the mind, or are you having this
No,
discussion?
out loud.
Like how loud? Loud enough for him to hear, or?
I don't care.
Okay, Brother Ferrante, while they go to talk, Brother Ferrante looks to engage you, and he says, "Well, I don't care how big you are. You can't just leave those in here." I mean, look, like what a mess! And look at that! And then he looks back at Brother Havernell and he goes, "Oh." And Sister Contratia at that point wakes up and starts very gingerly coming down the pew. Her strength has obviously left her. Now, Anduriel, what is it you say to Lachlan?
Sidebar.
Sidebar. Bard. I don't trust this person. I don't trust this creature. It's very convenient that he shows up at this time. He could be a Faith of Man spy for all we know, just because he has the trappings of some sort of cleric that worships the light. How do we know that?
We don't.
It's a great risk to bring one such as him along with us.
Well, true, but then keep your enemies closer. I don't know.
He's a lizard, not that close. Big, giant, ugly, and smelly has already been taken. Gizik, no offense. Love you.
Oh, I thought it was just you and the bard off in the corner.
All I'm saying is, it's very convenient that he's here now, and that he happened upon this church, happened upon the spawn that we ran out of the church ourselves, by the way, and comes climbing through the window claiming to be an ally.
Says, well, you could look at it that way, but you could also look at that he worships a goddess who is all about travelers and leading them on paths. And we're kind of in need of some allies here.
He claims to worship that goddess, but everything's not roses and daffodils, Bard.
No.
Life.
It's red caps and murderous humans.
Oh my, we can't. We need to be careful about who we trust, is all I'm saying.
Well, he can go first in the next fight.
Gizik, you've proven yourself wise. What do you say?
Haven't we all started that way? I don't know why.
Ugly?
I mean, we can't all look this good. But...
Now, I'm right here.
Are you? Have you walked over there, Morocon?
Oh, believe us, we know. Your presence is quite...
I've moved over.
Well,
to assist the sister down from the stand.
Oh, she's gonna freak out.
All right, so Morocon, you walk over to help Sister Contratia, and at first she looks and she says, "Thank you." Oh! and then pulls her arm back and falls down onto the steps, like.
Oh my, you were weaker than I thought. Here, let me help you. And I reach down to pick her up.
Okay. Sister Contratia is screaming bloody murder as Morocon tries to help her up.
Okay. I pause and stop, like, okay. And I take a step back.
All right. She grabs her holy symbol and points to you and says, Santos Idrixt, and she starts chanting a spell. And her finger flares up with light, and she burns herself. Ah!
Par for the course.
Fire is not for the weak-hearted.
All right, you two. If it's the will of the group, I shall go along with it. But I do not know why Naylock would bring yet another creature into this group, who will make it so easy to go around the city unnoticed. We've got an ogre. We've got a giant lizard. We've got some bard who can't keep his mouth shut, or whatever.
So we're not going to sneak.
Who's talking? You may be sneaky. You may be very sneaky, but when the fangs come out, it doesn't exactly go unnoticed.
Oh, Bard, we both know I'm beautiful. Get over it.
Okay.
Fine. I'll Anduriel's like it. It seems obvious that these guys are okay with it, so he's gonna turn. Lizard, I don't trust you. But as my overeager companion, the Bard, who is a good fighter, as he has said, we could use any hand in this fight. So Come on.
All right. Brother Ferrante looks up and he says, now, I know about Hamina. And he says, I can tell you this much. Word of Brother Havernell's death will spread. They'll know about it by the end of the day. And that's only going to make this chapel seem all the more open and inviting. I don't mind having a him here to even the odds.
I have a name.
Does he say that?
No.
Okay. He doesn't know your name.
You are a lizard until you do something.
You told us your name, though, didn't you? Didn't you tell me your name?
I don't think he did.
No, he hasn't said his name.
He says,
Oh, I haven't?
I am what I am.
Not to us.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Oh, right.
I am what I am. Isn't that what God said in the Bible?
Yeah, now who's presumptuous here?
Yeah. Lachlan says,
Forgive me, where are my manners? My name is Morocon.
Morocon. Lachlan Dulay, you met Anduriel, and that's Gizik.
Hi.
Oh, and then Lachlan turns to Furine, and who he doesn't know his name is Furine, but he turns to him and says, "And you mercenary, what's your name?"
He says, my name is Furine de Castle. You just call me Furine. So, what's the plan here, Bard?
Well,
if that's your name.
You're obviously a muscle for hire, and have been in the employ of the Faith of Man. I'd like to buy some information. What can you tell us about getting? We want to take them down.
All right.
Give us the goodies.
Where do they keep their coffer?
Okay. Okay. And Anduriel, their coffin? What? That's not. Okay. So he looks at you and he says, "Now just hold your loot there, fancy pants." He says, "I'm happy to provide you with all the information that you might want, but we need to come to terms. I need to know what this arrangement is, because I'm going to tell you right now. Come sundown, if the Faith of Man knows that I'm not dead and they know I spilled my guts, they're coming for me. And I'm telling you right now, I have no intention of being in the city gates. So what exactly are you wanting from me? You give me information, I give you information, you pay me, I go?"
Well,
Can Anduriel jump in?
Of course.
Here's the arrangement, you cur. You give my bard. I'm sorry.
Apparently nobody's going to get a name tonight.
I'm sorry. You give the bard the information he asks, and you live. You don't, and we slay you here.
You
Right
slay
on the
me.
pew.
All right, you say that, and Brother Ferrante's like, "Oh."
Hush.
Lachlan says that's one way we could try diplomacy, with threats and whatnot. He says, but he
It's
says,
only a threat if I can't do
I'm
it.
from Talisboon. I understand mercenaries, and I don't begrudge your involvement here. And he says, honestly, if having you as muscle behind in a fight would be wonderful, but we need to. Our motives are a little more single-minded, I guess. We're not gonna turn away from this cause. What have you seen in the embassy? Is there, a way that we could get into the embassy or into the keep?
He says, "I might know that," but he turns over to Anduriel, and he says, "If you kill me, you walk away with nothing." And he says, "If you pay me, then you walk away with good information. I'm good for it."
If I kill you, I walk away with a meal.
Anduriel, make an intimidate check.
That's a 25.
Okay. All right. He looks at you and he goes, "You're not the first vampire I would have slain." "Yeah."
Slain, huh? And how is that fighting us thing going for you?
Hey, look, if you want information, it's going to cost you because they're going to put a hit out on me once they realize that I've turned them over.
Fine.
You don't know these people. You don't understand what they're like. And you also have no idea what you're up against, let me tell you.
And
Can Morocon chime in?
Of course.
Yes, please explain to me who these people are.
Green doesn't say anything. He just folds his arms.
I want to turn to Brother Ferrante, say, look, I know you don't have much, but we need the information he has. Can you help us pay him?
Okay.
So much more diplomatic than I was about to go for.
All right. Lachlan, he looks at you and Brother Ferrante, and Brother Ferrante just kind of shakes with anger, and he goes, not giving sacred church funds, not to him what killed Brother Havernell.
He didn't kill Brother Havernell. That was the Red Caps. And you wouldn't be giving the money to him. You'd be giving the money to me to use to drive out the faith of man.
Lachlan, make a diplomacy check.
19.
All right, Lachlan, he calms down a little bit, but he looks at you and he says, well, how do you know he's not just going to tell you a flock of lies? He'd say anything to save his skin right now.
He would, but there are 4 clerics, and we are single-minded. If he betrays us, and our new friend worships the goddess of finding things, if he doesn't think that we're vindictive enough to hunt him down and end him, then he shouldn't be making a deal.
Okay, Morocon, Brother Ferrante looks at you to confirm this.
And I nod stoically.
Okay. All right, you nod stoically, and he's like, well, how much do you want?
Does Morocon have any gold?
What?
Does Morocon have?
Yeah, Morocon, you've got about 10 gold pieces traveling money, no more than that.
Okay.
The Church of Hemina does not require a vow of poverty.
Right.
And they certainly don't require a vow of chastity. You spend a lot of time on the road, you get lonely. Anyway, so that's... Now they do require a vow of hospitality, though. You are to help travelers along the road. That's one of the commandments of your church.
Absolutely. But
that being said, he says, well, how much do you want? Furine says, well, I can tell you a lot for 50 gold, but I can tell you a hell of a lot more for 100.
I think Morocon's going to chime in on this.
Okay.
What if I could guarantee your safety out of this land? Would you tell it for 10?
Because look, I wouldn't give your mother another round for 10.
Can I make a diplomacy check?
Yes, with a new argument you can. Before you roll anything, tell me what you're saying, because that could change whether or not I give you a bonus to the roll.
You have seen what I can do to these minions. If I can guarantee your safety to find for others, if I can guarantee your safety out of this land, that you can be in the company of others like me, would you tell me information for 10 gold?
He looks up at you and he says, you don't even know what I'd be running from. How would you guarantee my safety?
I pull Brother Ferrante aside and ask him how much you got.
Okay. He says, I don't know. I'd have to go back and look. He says, Hope Master Andante was the one who kept our tithe and funds. I'd have to go in the back and look. Do you want me to go look?
Oh, is there any left?
What's that?
Is there any left?
Are you asking him if
yes, I'm genuinely asking him if there's any gold left.
So, he just looks at you, and he looks at Lachlan like, well, are you here to rob us?
There's no.
Excuse me.
Gizik's got a dark sense of humor. I mean, he was raised by a hag, for crying out loud. So.
Oh.
No, I just mean a Hope Master was in charge of the money. Is there any left?
Well, of course there's some left. He wouldn't touch the poor box.
Oh.
So we'll go check it out. Count the money and see if there's anything else that we can offer to this mercenary. If he has information that could save brother what's his name? And Andante?
Hope Master Andante.
If there's things that if we can save Hope Master Andante, isn't that worth it?
Ooh, that's a good argument. Make a diplomacy check with a +2, or actually make a diplomacy check with advantage. Roll twice.
24.
All right. He says, I suppose no price is too high to pay for that. And he says, that's fine, but we need to get the chapel cleaned up too. We need to get to cleaning this chapel and to tending to poor Brother Havernell.
Yes.
So he says that Sister Contratia is, she takes the blanket from you, Lachlan, and she kind of like is limping her way over to Brother Havernell's body. And while Brother Ferrante heads to the back of the chapel, to the back rooms, she lays the blanket over Brother Havernell and kind of tries to wrap him in it, very gently, very lovingly. She pauses, and then she wraps up his body, almost like she's maybe had a little experience at it, perhaps. But she wraps it up, and then she just kind of sits there, and she begins whispering the prayer for the dead of Bestera. So that is what she is going to do.
Does Moroccan know that this is a Besteran chapel?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Moroccan would be very aware that every town in the Adari Republic has a chapel to the goddess Bestera, the goddess of healing and protection, because it's a theocracy. So he would be well aware of that. It's very strange because from the Tarsirian Empire, where he comes from, which is a meritocracy, they would never tolerate a religion having this much influence. They tend to look askance at faiths. So anyway, there is a pounding on the front door of the chapel.
Oh, not this again.
What now?
Okay. And you hear a voice call out and say, "Hello? Hello, this is Ruby from the Rose Garden Tavern. Hello?" Bang, bang, bang.
Who is this Ruby?
I'll go over and open the door. And Duriel will go over and open the door.
Okay, and Duriel, you go and open the door, and it is, in fact, Ruby from the Rose Garden Tavern. And she says, "Oh, hello. Is Master Lachlan here?"
Is she hot?
What, Ruby?
Yeah.
I wouldn't call her hot, but I would call her fresh and young.
And she works at the tavern.
And she works there. Now, Jeffrey,
I wanted her to be homely, but I could be like, oh, he's definitely in there.
you can't assume that just because she works at the tavern that
How young are we talking?
she's about 16 or 17.
He's only 19. That's okay.
Yeah.
And Duriel calls out, Lachlan, the bar wench is here to see you.
I'm not a wench. I'm a serving less.
Stick around, Lachlan, and you will be.
Okay. She looks at you and she goes, "Takes one to know one."
Lachlan goes out and just says, Oh, that Anduriel, such a joker. How can I help you?
She comes into the chapel and she smiles brightly up at you, Lachlan, and she says, Master Lachlan, hello, how are you?
Fabulous. Better
Okay.
now.
All right, she looks up at you and she says, you look fabulous. I'm sure you are. Well, she comes in and she says, well, I just wanted to... Oh, sweet mother of mercy! What happened in here?
Villains tried to destroy the chapel, and they killed Brother Havernell.
I had very little to do with it.
Okay. Morocon, this is the first time she noticed is you, and she goes, is he a... I mean, he's got... I mean, what are you guys, collecting them?
He said,
Right?
I know not what you mean, but I am of noble blood.
he says, yes, we do. We are a group that sounds like the start of a bad joke, but maybe we should have a conversation outside.
Okay. Well, she says, no, it's fine. And then she looks, I mean, there is blood and gore, like right in the center of the chapel, and various dead bodies. The windows are broken. There's fire in play. And she's like, oh, no, it's fine. It's fine. Okay.
I'm just going to take her by the arm and walk her back outside.
She leans on you heavily.
Are you still covered in some of that gore?
Maybe. All right. She says, I just can't believe what's going on in here. I mean, the kind of strangers we see, lots of strangers come through Winter Run. I mean, this is the last. I mean, everybody, we get wagons from all over, but I mean, the people you guys have been. Oh my. And she looks up and she says, oh, I'm sorry. And you notice that she's carrying a brown satchel. And she hands you the satchel and she says, here, Madame Dimitri asked me to bring this to you straight away. She said it was from that girl, what was traveling with you. She woke up early this morning and she ran, I guess. Told my mistress she just couldn't handle all this priestess stuff. She said she never wanted to be responsible to nobody but herself. She's happy in her own little world behind a book or something like that. Well, I don't know. She left this garment and she fled on a pony that she bought out of town. And she looks up and she frowns and she gets kind of serious for a minute and she says, and if you ask me, she's a right coward, she is. I mean, if I could do what she can do, well, you can bet I'd be doing more than waiting tables. Anyway, here. And she hands the package to you. And she says, Madame Dimitri told me to tell you to come by the tavern if you need anything, and she'll be happy to try to help. So.
Do any of us in the chapel hear this conversation, or is it just between her and Lachlan?
You can step over and listen to it. There's nothing keeping you from doing that.
I imagine that she has a fairly loud voice.
Ruby does not have a hard time making herself heard.
Teenagers.
I'll just say thank you and give her a little peck on the cheek and say, we need to help the brother Ferrante clean up the mess in there. I hope you understand. But
oh yeah. Well, she says, do you want me to stay and help? I mean, I'm sure Madame Dimitri wouldn't mind.
Cleaning up what's in there is going to be far worse than cleaning up some spilled drinks. I wouldn't want to.
Okay, well, if you're sure I can't help, and
yeah.
She starts walking.
Yeah.
No desire. Like, yeah.
We've got an old man in there for that. We don't need you.
Yeah. Okay.
An old man. What's he gonna say? Like Higgidus Figgidus?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There we go. That was a beautiful reference, Jeffrey.
Yeah.
Okay. I love that movie. Anyway, so
right. Out of curiosity, so Morocon walks over to Brother Ferrante and
I'll just tell you before that she steps out and gets into a wagon. She's like, yeah, and she drives that wagon off pretty fast. Doesn't pay to stay on the streets very long in Winter Run these days. Go ahead.
Morocon calls out, no, that was my Uber.
Okay, and it's gone.
So he goes over to Brother Ferrante and offers to help burn the bodies.
Okay. All right. He says, no. He says we won't burn the body. He says Brother Ferrante was a priest of the chapel. We can inter him in the cemetery behind the church.
You mean Brother Havernell?
Or Brother Havernell, yes. Whoa! Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And what about the other beasties?
And what of these others?
All right.
Who makes the pies around here?
Oh.
Nothing to waste.
Yeah. Okay. Just saying.
Magical creatures, they're probably,
Yeah.
good for you.
Delicious.
And Duriel goes to criticize, and he's like, no.
Just imagine what they can do for your strength. I'm sure that, nice little magical boost there. Eat the flesh of your enemies,
Okay. Brother Ferrante looks at Lachlan and he pulls him aside and he says, "You need to talk to him."
You guys haven't heard about this?
Okay. He's like, that's sacrilegious.
Moron cocks his head and
him.
looks
I guess it depends on your beliefs.
He says, Lachlan turns to Gizik and he says, you're really not doing a whole lot to dispel the whole eating babies thing. So
these are not babies.
They're somebody's babies, Gizik.
Focus on, we could let people at least believe you're a vegetarian for a little while.
Well, one man's sacrilege is another man's holy ritual.
Okay. Oh my gosh. All right. Brother Ferrante has had enough. He goes, all right, that's it. And he goes clunking over.
So about those pies?
He goes clunking over to one of the to the podium, and he comes back with a book, Gizik, a pretty thick tome, and he thuds it into your chest, and he goes, "You need to read this."
What is this, Bastarian? I don't...
It's the Book of Virtues. It's their holy book.
Read the Bible.
Yes. You need to get yourself some Bible, is what he said.
Y'all need some Jesus.
Yes,
Sigrun has her own virtues.
I'm sure she does. I suggest chapter 6.
Six.
Okay.
Lachlan turns to Brother Ferrante and says, a pyre would be good to dispose of these bodies, and then he says, and if you'll point me to a shovel, I'll go start digging a grave for Brother Havernell.
He says that we can both do that. He says we can. Why don't we just throw them on the same pyre we started for that witch's body?
Agreed.
Okay. So, Morocon, are you going to follow them out there? Are you going to
absolutely
carrying Sister Contratia, or
she refused my advance, so I would assume that they don't see my kind very much here. So I gracefully bow out.
Well, Ruby said Winterrun sees at least some of everything, but that doesn't mean Sister Contratia sees some of everything. So,
right.
She's also obviously exhausted. Brother Ferrante is going to tell you, he says, Sister Contratia, I think you should go lie down, and you need to take the staff back and put it back into its keeping spot. And he stutters like he almost said where they keep it and was like, go put it back in the place. So anyway, so she nods and she removes the staff from the podium, and she keeps looking back at Brother Havernell's body, and she breaks into tears and wanders back to the back rooms. So you guys going to go out and dump the red caps?
And Duriel's going to stay in the chapel and make sure chlorine doesn't go anywhere.
Okay. Furine? Yeah. Okay.
There are plenty of red cap bodies. I'll grab a couple.
Yeah, there are 4 of them now. So,
well, plus the other bodies that they shed.
Yes. Yeah, the bodies that they shed are kind of just gore at this point.
It's kind of like a dustpan.
It is. Yeah,
so
you're
just
looking.
Leave those for Ferrante then.
Yeah, it's It's a mess. All right, so long and short of the chapel, I'm assuming you guys, Lachlan, you help him clean up, and Duriel, do you help him clean up? Roricon?
Yeah, I'll help him clean up. Lifting bodies seems to be pretty easy work for me and the other large one.
Okay. All right, so you guys put the bodies on the pyre, and he says, well, I suppose one of us should say a prayer for the dead. And he looks just furious, and he goes, one of you want to do it?
Goddess of Light would be happy to see them on their journey.
All right, he goes, all right, go ahead.
Okay, where is that prayer?
That would be in the God Stuff folder.
Blessing of Lightfall. There you are. Okay. Our Lady who wanders, watch over the wandering of these fallen. Shine the world torch over their souls as they pass from this plane, so that it may see in the light of truth the next path to follow. Set free their spirits to explore the great beyond and find their place in eternity. As the sun sets on this life, may your light follow and pierce the coming darkness.
Brother
As
Ferrante says amen.
As I say that, the symbol on my chest glows.
Okay. Make a knowledge religion check, Moralcon. Lachlan, are you with them?
Is that
Yeah, I think we probably all are, right?
Well, no, Anduriel stayed in the chapel to watch Furine.
Oh, that's right.
Gizik, did you stay or did you go help?
I'm carrying bodies with them, so yeah, I'm out there.
Okay. All right, so you can all make a knowledge religion check.
That's with the D20, right?
Yep.
Okay.
19?
15.
Okay.
23.
All right, so Moralcon, this is kind of a first for you. You haven't really initiated over a lot of funerals before, but you feel power. You feel power course through your holy symbol as you perform this burial, almost as though it has the power of like a level 1 ritual. But that's really all you can tell. Lachlan, you kind of get the same thing. Gizik, what did you roll?
15.
Okay, Gizik, you get the feeling that some kind of holy power was exerted over souls. Whether or not they moved to the right place or not, you can't tell, but you can tell that souls are shifting around you, possibly in the right location. That's all pretty much you can tell. Okay, so Brother Ferrante goes cleaning back. You're going to help you bury Hope Master Andante, and he says the Besterin prayer for the dead over Brother
Havernell.
Brother Havernell. Thank you. Sorry, late night. Brother
Happy Meal.
Yeah, Brother Happy Meal goes into the ground, and he says, "We can order."
I want to put a pie on him as we bury him. You know, like instead of throwing a rose in, and just say, "Didn't know you long, but we'll miss you."
Drop a pie on his face.
Well, not like a clown.
You sacrilegious mother effer.
Oh, is that is that one of your religious rituals?
Where this started off as a very touching, heartfelt moment, it suddenly shifted into a Benny Hill soundtrack.
Yeah, thanks JT for taking this sacred moment and turning it into an episode.
I'll go back to the
TV.
chapel.
Okay, but if you put the pie down, Brother Ferrante will laugh a little bit, and he will like, I think he would have liked that. and he looks up at Moralcon and he says, Brother Havernell was quite fond of pie, more than one slice, and he just kind of smiles.
Is Brother Havernell a portly little one, or is he?
He's got some chunk. He's got some chunk on his junk, I guess you would say.
I would look down at him and say, I can tell.
Yeah.
We'd probably say it a different way, though.
He doesn't seem the least bit offended by that.
I'll say it in Draconic, as to not offend anyone.
Okay. All right. He says it would be better if Hope Master Andante was here to perform the service, but I suppose we need to we should get back to the chapel. There's so much cleaning to do. And we need to lock it up again. I mean, heaven only knows. We need to board up the windows. Yes, there's a lot to do. Will you help me board up the windows?
Does Gizik, do you have like prestidigitation or because can't that be used to fix things?
Not something that size. Not to put back together a stained glass. You want Gizik trying to put a stained glass window together with a cantrip?
I could create a small version of it that would last for an hour.
I'm sorry. I've got it. Miss Tara's looking a little ghetto now, but all the glass is up there, so...
Gizik, roll a carpentry check.
Okay. He says, if we ever get Hope Master Andante back here, he can mend these windows in a heartbeat. I've seen him do it before. A lad threw a rock through one of the windows once, and he cast a spell, and whoosh, all the glass just went right back up again. And he says, I guess Lycinoprel could help with that too, but
is that like an ointment?
Lycinoprel? Oh,
that sounds like a medicine.
Like Vapor Rub? Put it right here.
He says, no, Lycinoprel is the wizardess.
Andurio wants to reach through the mind link to Lachlan real fast here. He just sort of pops in. He says, Bard, we have spent too long here. We need to get moving. Hope Master Andante, we need the information from this coward up front, and then we need to go find Hope Master Andante.
You also might want to rest. You guys haven't had an extended rest.
Yeah.
It's up to you.
No,
it doesn't really enter Andurio's mind. He's like, rest?
Agreed. We should finish up here, get what we need from the mercenary, and then go back to the inn.
It's
to
been
rest.
a long walk from New Tarsa. I wouldn't say no to a breather.
Okay.
So you and the tall, ugly one, and Gizik come up here.
Okay. Do you say that out loud or in the mind link?
No, in the mind link.
Okay. Alrighty. So,
am I privy to this mind link?
Can you what?
Am I part of this mind link?
Not until Lachlan lets you in.
Okay.
I'll just say out loud, Gizik, Moricon, it's time to go. Does brother Ferrante, as important and crucial as cleaning up and repairing the chapel is, if we don't stop the threat, then this chapel is not long for this world. We need to get Hope Master Andante back and put an end to this. So excuse us.
Okay, he says, well, now wait a minute. He says, I thought you wanted me to get the money for this mercenary.
Absolutely. We're going to need his information if we're going to do this the right way.
All right. Furian says, yes, you will. And he comes back with a small sack of jingling coins. You can't really tell how much is there, Lachlan, without counting it, but it looks like it could be over 50 gold or 50 silver, 50 something. He takes the sack, Lachlan, and he kind of just pushes it onto your chest. He doesn't like smash it into you, but he doesn't hand it over happy either.
Okay.
And he says, that's all we have. And he looks at you like he dares you to challenge him.
Can Andurio wants to use Charming Gaze on Furine.
Okay. All that's going to do, I believe, is stop him. Yes. What does it do?
No, it gives me a +4 to diplomacy check. Yeah, I mean he can't make opportunity attacks or take immediate actions, but it's to increase the diplomacy check.
Go for it. Well, first of all, tell me what you want. What are you saying?
Andurio is just going to suggest that because of how kind the priest has been and that we spared his life, that Furine would be happy to give us the information for half of what's in the bag.
Okay, go ahead.
That's a natural 20, so it's 24.
Okay. All right.
Someone's getting a half-price special.
he looks really irritated with you, Anduriel, but he looks at you and he says, "Oh, fine, nickel and dime me, whatever. Separate half of it out. I don't care. I want out of here. Just do it."
He says, "Let's talk."
What do you want to know?
Well, you know what we're up against.
I do.
We need to know what we're up against, and any secret ways into the embassy, ways to get past the guards. If you know what's going on in the keep, we need to take our goal is to take down the faith of man here in Winterrun, and so every piece of information that will help us do that is that's what we need.
He says, "I don't know of any secret passage or secret entry or whatnot in." He says, "But if I was trying to get in," he says, "well, it depends on what are you trying to do. Do you want to go in and try to kill them all? Because you don't have the manpower to do that."
He says, "Well, we at least need to dispose of Mrs. Waterford and any of the cut the head off the snake, so to speak."
He goes, "That is going to be a challenge in and of itself. Let me tell you what you're looking at in the embassy, okay?" He says, "First things first, you got Mrs. Waterford. Now, I'm not saying I saw anything happen, but I'm telling you, if somebody charmed the Hope Master and managed to beguile him or witchify him or whatever it is into his indiscretion with a guildmaster of mining's daughter, it was Mrs. Waterford. I've seen her manipulate people at the drop of a hat. There's magic in that woman's voice. I always tried to listen. I always tried not to listen when she was putting the whammy on somebody." He says, "I know a little magic myself. I studied with a ship's witch, and I'm telling you, or a wizard." He says, "And I'm telling you right now, I never saw a sea wizard do as easily what she does just talking. So you got Mrs. Waterford. She's tough. She's tougher than she looks, too. I mean, she may put on fine dresses and everything, but I'm telling you, I wouldn't want to fight her. She's too tricky. And she's not the only one that you have to deal with. You've also got, he says, you've also got Dr. Fields. He's a druid. They're all druids or witches or bards, all of them, except for the guards. And they're weird." He says, "You don't see guards like that during the city. They're elemental. They've got fire blood or something. I don't know. Dr. Fields said there's some funny name for them. They're like man-made Marcons or barking or something. Ancient Croncons. I don't remember. Whatever. He says they used to serve Titans and they learned how to make them. I don't know any more than that. But I'm telling you, the guards they've got some kind of fire magic or something like that."
Archons?
Yeah, that's it. Archons. He said he called them Archons, but he said they were man-made. I don't know what that means, but I can tell you this much. I know I've seen them light a torch with their hands. They're nothing to mess around. I mean, I could take them. I could probably take a few of them, but anyway, you're dealing with them, and that's not all you're dealing with. You got other people in there too. I mean, the faith of man it's generally always full. You know what I mean? They have a schedule that they keep. They got classes there, and they have what they call nighttime motivations, where everybody gathers in this big hallway and they do speeches and weird motivational. I mean, I'd call it like religious services. I don't know. Something like that. I can give you the schedule if you want, like the schedule of how they spend their day. But
yeah.
Anyway, you got the chairman of healers. You got the chairman of education. That's that Epistophus guy. You got the chairman of elements. She's the one who's responsible for feeding everybody. And all of them, they're all witches and druids and bards. They can all heal. I've seen them do it. He says, so you're looking at all of the chairmen and Mrs. Waterford. You're looking at the Archon guards, and then they got red caps coming and going from the back rooms. And I've seen worse there too. Seen fiends, things from the lower planes, and those priests of the high one.
Are they? Have you been inside the keep?
You mean Castle Winterguard?
Yeah.
No. Nope. Castle Winterguard's good and closed up, and that's exactly how they arranged it to be. That's how they want it.
And how did they accomplish that?
I don't know. I think the priests had something to do with it. I never heard too much about that. They would ask me to wait outside whenever they had one of their little chairman meetings in the back hall.
Do they all live there, or do any of them have outside residences?
No, they all live there. They're a pretty close-knit group. And I don't know if you've noticed, but they don't tend to risk themselves in battle either. Certainly not unless they're together. I've seen them put up a good fight when they're together, when you've got more than one of the chairmen there. And then they got that Vistani girl. What's her name? Marietta. Something like that.
She's dead.
Ha! You think she's dead, huh?
Well, her head was ripped off. Did they bring her back somehow?
I don't know. I have no idea, but I can tell you they're good healers. I wouldn't be surprised. I know they got some power over spirits.
Yeah, that's dead too.
What? The spirits are dead? What do you mean?
They had a chain demon that was capturing and enslaving the spirits. We banished him and killed a Pistivus.
That horned red thing with the chains?
Yeah, that.
You killed it.
Yeah, killed. It's not here
packing.
anymore.
Yeah.
It's gone.
All right. Well, I guess that's...
I mean, unless they can summon it back, but...
That's one less critter you're dealing with, I suppose. He goes, the thing is, they're full. So you could, I don't know when the best time to go in there. If I was going to go in there, I would try to sneak in during evening motivations. But I mean, I guess that just depends on what you're, I mean, what are you going to do? Try to whack Waterford and go? Because that's not going to be easy. But if I were you, I would try to go in during evening motivations. When somebody's given a speech, you could try to sneak into the back, I guess, or you could attack whichever one of the chairmen's giving the speech, but they got guards in there, and at least one or two of the priests are always in there.
How can we discredit Mrs. Waterford? Because she's got a lot of public appeal right now, even though she's a conniving shrew.
That's a good question. That woman is smoother than butter. I don't know. I guess if you were to catch some of the red caps in the embassy, I've never been in the back rooms. You understand? They always closed the back rooms. I wasn't allowed to see what was back there. They had me wait outside, but I heard awful noises coming from in there. I don't know what they were doing. Some kind of magic, something. I don't know. But I saw red caps in there in the back more than once.
Maybe she has some tweets from like 10 years ago that are incriminating.
That is a great idea for taking down Mrs. Waterford. Get her for her old tweets.
Yeah, we're going to troll her on social.
Get her cell phone, yeah.
Discover her burner accounts, quick.
Yeah. He says, Furine says, look, if you could get one of the Just Blades into the embassy to look around and see everything they got in there, I don't think they'd survive that. But you got Just Blades who are joining the faith of man too. I mean, you should see they're almost like a church. I can't stand that part of it. It's good money, but...
Would Morocon be familiar with the Just Blades?
By now, you would have heard that the Just Blades are the police force. Yeah.
Okay.
They're a knightly order, but they serve as the police force and the militia.
Okay. Have you seen any any conflicts between any of the Just Blades and the chairman, or any city officials and the chairman or Mrs. Waterford, someone who would have an open ear to our claims?
Oh yeah, he says. I can tell you right now, she has friends in the Just Blades, a lot of them, but the vast majority, they don't like him. They don't like the Faith of Man. They feel like the Faith of Man is, I don't know, I guess, in their territory, kind of breaking in. I don't know. Commander Frederick is pretty terse with Mrs. Waterford, but most of the Just Blades also acknowledge that the Faith of Man have kept the Redcaps at bay. So, I don't know.
Do the Redcaps have a boss, like a leader?
If they do, I have no idea who it is.
So is Mrs. Waterford the leader of the Faith of Man here? Is she calling the shots?
If anybody's calling the shots, it's her. But I got to tell you, they work pretty well together. There's a lot of give and take between all of the chairmen, but she does seem to be the head of the chairman.
I think Morikana chime in right here. So, okay. I know not of this Mrs. Waterford or Dr. Field, or I know little of these Redcaps, but if they want fire, I am fire. They have not seen my kind.
I don't think many people have seen your kind.
Fire, huh? Well, attacking this place doesn't sound like a good idea. What's the embassy made out of? Could we burn it?
Okay, Furine's like, you could probably try to burn it down, but there are so many people coming in and out of that building. They'd have a bucket brigade going in a second. And they're real organized, too. I mean, organizing the community is what they do. But your fire boy over here, he'd be a good one. He looks at him, he's like, he'd be a good one to have fight those Arcanauts.
They don't understand what Hemina's fire can bring upon themselves.
And Duriel, you guys, Naylock and Hemina, they have a somewhat less than pleasant history. Being that
you could say that.
The way that Naylock became the god of night and darkness was by betraying Hemina's trust. So the more he talks about Hemina and Duriel, the more you are reminded that a lot of the faithful of Naylock tend to think of Hemina's clergy as fools or irritants.
And Duriel sees everybody as a fool or an irritant, though.
So this isn't very different.
So how is that any different?
Yeah.
Okay. He tells you, he says, look, let me tell you how the day goes. From 7 to 9, they're serving a public breakfast. Okay? The front room, there's tons of people in the front rooms, guards, priests, everybody's out there. You'll never sneak in unless you break in one of the back windows, but they've got guards back there too. From about 10 to 12, they got classes in the back. There's farm and teaching people to read and other worthless whatever. They serve a lunch. Then from 2 to 5, you got people coming in and people coming out. That's their charitable acts time. They go throughout the city doing good stuff. From 5 to 7, the chairs usually have some kind of a meeting, or they're in their own rooms or in the back. Everybody's in the back where I'm not allowed. He says from 7 to 8, they have evening motivations. That's when they invite people in from the city, and there's some big speech and something about people being good and gods being dumb and we don't need them. And then the embassy closes at 9 o'clock.
So it sounds like we should go in while they're worshiping themselves. Our problem may be that they're getting too much goodwill with the people. Maybe if we could attack that somehow. It seems foolish to try to attack all of the guards and chairmen and everything, but I don't know. Maybe they have a poor box. If that were
What's
to
their-
disappear, that would hurt their ability to influence the people.
Maybe if we steal their money, they won't.
What's their connection to the guild?
To what guild?
Miners Guild?
Miners Guild.
I don't know. I don't know anything about that. Well, I mean, I know that the miners are fighting with the Teamsters. I know that they may have had a hand in it. There wasn't a lot of talk about it.
It seems like just a little bit of manipulation can stir up a nice fight there between those two guilds.
Well,
Which is the guild that has the possessed guildmaster?
that's Guildmaster Travers, the head of the mining guild. Saint Delia Adelia flat out told you he was possessed.
Could they go in and find like somebody like that being held there and bring them out as like an incriminating piece of evidence during, like, sneak in during devotionals?
You'd have to get one of the Just Blades in there. You need a witness.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're just going to make up lies about us planting
Say
it for
we did
all
it,
us.
If you could sneak in there and get something on them, and then get one of the Just Blades to come back there and search. I mean, I guess. I don't
We
know.
could go find that captain of the Just Blades that was at the tavern, and we kind of got him on our side a little bit. And
Captain Thoreau?
Captain
Yeah.
Thoreau, right?
Yeah, you made an impression on him. You beat the crap out of him and his men, but you also let him go.
We didn't kill them.
You
Which
didn't
is-
kill him.
A big step for us.
Yeah. That was a really turning point for Endurial.
Started me down this whole path.
Okay.
I wonder if I'm going to say this in the mind link, not to Furine. I wonder if we took this mercenary and spoke with Captain Thoreau and had him make a statement of these things he's seen, if it would convince Thoreau to go take a look under the hood at the embassy.
Am
I
I
thought-
included in this mind link?
Yes.
I'm going to be a little startled by that.
Okay.
Right?
I
I'm
thought
gonna
you said
look
you knew
around,
mercenaries.
Okay.
You think he's going to go talk to the guard? Give testimony?
Well, not voluntarily.
Irene told you that he's getting out of town.
We could even have him just write a statement. It's something.
Well, why don't you just
wanna-
write something and put his name at the end?
It might not survive scrutiny. I don't know what kind of divinations they have access to.
We could
Um,
take. We could
go ahead.
take. We should let the gun for hire go, and we can take one of these people from the church or even the bar wench or whoever, and they can vouch for us with the captain, right?
Is this still in the mind link?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I'm a little worried that someone's going to come back and take out brother Ferrante because he saw Dr. Fields, and to me they're in danger.
But we can take them with us, and that's who we will use to present our case to the captain, right?
Well, remember, Madame Dimitri offered to help you.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
So-
right.
that's
If
where I
you
want to
agree-
go. I think
Okay.
if we take sister Scatterbrain and brother Ferrante to Madame Dimitri, and have her watch out for them, and then see if we can get the Just Blades to come meet us at Dimitri's and share our tale.
Yes, then we can go sneak in during daily devotionals. Well, probably you and I. I'd leave the ogre and the lizard out, as even though he is fire, he's also obvious.
Okay.
Where
Are
no
you
one's-
saying this plan out loud so that Brother Ferrante and Sister Contratia can hear, or
I haven't
No,
spoken out loud yet.
Not yet.
okay?
Is Furine's still here? I still am not going to give away where we're going to Furine.
Yeah.
All right. So Furian's like, is there anything else you want to know?
Says, I want you to draw me a layout of the embassy, the rooms you're familiar with, windows, doors, that kind of thing. Doesn't need to be a masterpiece, but I need to know where I'm going when I get inside.
All right, I can do that.
We give him a crayon. Here you go.
Okay.
There's plenty of material around here. He could just dip his finger and.
And this is the sun. And this is a tree.
Okay. All right. He says, I can do that. Is there anything else you want to know, or can I draw you this and go?
He says, I want to take him aside, away from the rest of the group.
Okay. All right. So do you try to? What do? You put up and put your arm on him, or
I say in the mind link to the party. Say, I want to talk to this guy a minute alone.
Fine.
been a while. All right. Okay. So what do you say?
I say, look, Furine, head to Talispoon, and I'm going to send him to my mother.
To who?
My mother.
You're going to send him to your mother. Okay.
That she will be able to make use of your skills, and she's very rich. Says, if and I know that you're a gun for hire, but you are not without honor. When you say you're going to leave and not go back to and not spill any of this to the faith of man, I'm giving you directions to go to my mother. So I hope you'll recognize that bit of trust and not spill the beans to the faith of man on your way out.
He says, well, I've had stranger offers. I'll think about it. You tell him who your mother is.
Yeah.
Okay, make a diplomacy check.
22.
22. He goes, why would an actress want to hire a mercenary?
I don't know if she'll want to hire you, but she's got lots of money to, you never know when she's going to need protection or an escort, or she's got connections in the city. A mercenary is going to do much better in Talispoon than in the Adar Republic anyway.
I've worked in Talispoon before. Well, I got to get out of Horta. I got to get out of the state. That much I know. So maybe I'll head down that way. I'll draw you your map, and then as far as I'm concerned, we're done.
Good.
Thanks.
So
All right.
Morricon's going to lean over to the rest of the group. Is that mind link thing normal? Does this happen regularly?
Okay, you say that, and Brother Ferrante says, what mind link? Are you touched, lizard?
I walk back over as Ferrante says, "Are you touched, lizard?" And mind link, and I say in Brother Ferrante's mind, "No, it is me in your head."
Ah! Get out of my head! He says, don't do that.
And Duriel needs to take some time to have a long conversation with Naylock about this crew.
All right. Stu.
I'm going to have a similar conversation with Hamina about this group.
And Duriel, are you wearing an open holy symbol to Naylock?
I don't think I am, no.
I don't think you are either. Yeah. Okay. So he may seem dark to you, but you still don't know whom he serves. However, once you hit combat, it's probably going to become fairly obvious.
Yes.
Okay, so you don't even know they're priests yet at this point. Lachlan,
No.
Lachlan, you do know. I'll let you go ahead and make a knowledge religion check, Morocon.
Ooh, 24.
Okay, Lachlan is oozing symbols of the goddess of love, Sindel. Goddess of love, truth, beauty, other things like that. He is quite obviously a warrior in her service. Although Anduriel just keeps calling him the Bard. So, okay. So Furine draws you that map, and then he says, "We're squared. I'm gone." And says not one word, and hightails it out the front door, and actually goes running out of the churchyard.
As soon as he closes the door, then I want to turn to Brother Ferrante and say, "We got to get you and the sister out of here because you can implicate Dr. Fields and the faith of man to the Just Blades or to anybody else. So there's a target on your back."
All right. He looks at you and he says, "No. No, the last thing that Hope Master Andante told Brother Havernell was that we weren't to leave the church. We can't leave this church. The faith of man will burn it down."
And they'll burn it down with you inside. Or send more redcaps in to just gut you in your sleep. He says...
Okay, you say that, and Sister Contracti goes, "Oh, like, I think I need some pie." Like...
And Hope Master Andante wasn't expecting to have redcaps viciously cut down Brother Havernell. He says, "Just trust us on this. If they burn down the chapel, when we have destroyed them, the people of this town will rebuild. You know they will."
But this is our home. The Church of Bestera is a pillar of strength in the community. It is the community.
Morricon looks around the chapel in its rather disheveled state and says it's not much of one at the moment.
All right, Brother Ferrante rolls up his sleeves and looks like he wants to hit you. He goes,
"Are you ready to clean, little one?"
Okay. He looks up at you and he's like, "You can take the lizard and go feed him sheep."
Brother Ferrante, please, see reason. You can both live and come with us or die here. There's no reason for you to die. Please come with us and you can continue your good work. But you can't do that if you're dead.
Make a diplomacy check. Unless you want to try to scare him, and then you could make an intimidate check.
I'm better at intimidating. I don't have any bonus for diplomacy. So I'll use in 15.
All right, what are you going to say to scare him?
24, and then I say, there's two ways you're getting out of this church. You're getting out dead, or you're coming out with us alive. I'm fine either way. I would hate to see your lives wasted, but you need to come with us or you will die.
Okay, make an intimidate check.
It is 18 plus 8. Wait. 25.
Okay. He says,
26.
but where will we go?
Madame Dimitri will take care of you.
All right. Sister Contratia looks up and she says, there are some things that are worth dying for.
But only if your cause is able to live on. It says, but if everybody dies and the church burns to the ground, how does that serve Bestera?
Okay.
Who will rebuild?
She just kind of nods at you and just shakes her head and hangs her head in kind of defeat. And Brother Ferrante takes her and pats her on the shoulder and he says, a church is more than a building. You can't kill the faith these people have in Bestera. They speak wisdom. I don't want to die. And we're no good to the people if we're dead, church or no church. But we do have things that we can't leave here.
No, they'll loot this place clean. You got to make sure that staff that you bring that staff with you.
Okay. All right, Brother Ferrante says,
I like sticks.
Brother.
Don't forget your forks.
Don't give him the stick. He is fire.
Okay. Brother Ferrante looks up at you, Locke, and he says, "Yeah, now Brother Havernell was going to tell you something too about how you could get into Castle Winterguard. I wasn't going to say anything until he says, until that mercenary, that murderer was gone. Well, it's a little complicated. Brother Havernell was very upset about it. But you see, Captain Benedine would know how to get into the castle. Why, Captain Benedine was stationed in the castle for nigh on 2 decades as the acting militia captain of the Just Blades, but he retired. Brother Havernell said something about how he had a falling out with Knight Lord Descartes. And worst part of it is Captain Benedine, he works for the faith of man now. He actually lives at their embassy. Brother Havernell was very upset about it. But if anybody would know a way into the castle, it would be him. I don't know where we go from here. So many problems in the city, but maybe you could ask Lysinopril for help. I mean, I normally wouldn't suggest talking to a wizardess, but she is very good, or skilled, I guess. I mean, maybe she could disguise, I don't know. Maybe she could magic you into the embassy or into the castle. I don't know.
Where is she?
She has a tower in some corner of the city. I don't know where. You'd have to ask Madame Dimitri, or maybe someone else, or someone on the street. But she has a tower. I just don't know where. Maybe it's in the hillocks, or maybe it's in the formal district. I don't know.
Well, if it's a tower, we might be able to see it if we just step outside and look.
Well, he says, that's just what they call it. I mean, she owns a nice big fancy house, but there are a number of those in the formal district and in the hillocks.
But we need to go there.
He says, I don't know if she'll help you.
Let's get to Madame Dimitri and get some rest. We'll think better after a night's sleep.
Sleep would be welcome.
Well, get your belongings, get the stuff you can't leave without, and let's go.
Okay. All right. So we will go ahead, and I think we'll end there for the night because we're just about at 10:30, gentlemen. But that will be where we will pick up next time. We will pick up next time on either the journey to the Rose Garden Tavern, if something happens, or in the Rose Garden Tavern, where we will determine our next move. So, but thank you for joining us. Our artist in residence here, Ben, is going to be with us for quite a while, I think, here. He's going to guest star for a couple episodes. And we've actually offered him the opportunity to do our Consider This tonight. So, Ben, go ahead and take over, dude.
All right. So for this week's Consider This, let's see, where did I write that down?
Being organized. Consider this.
Organized.
Not losing things.
And a quick note here before he gets into it. Ben is an awesome guy. I'm so happy to have him on with us. He's a friend of mine. I know we were kind of butting heads during the game, but it's difficult to do because Ben is such an awesome dude, and we've been friends for a long time. So happy to have you on.
Very much.
I am very happy to be here. Thank you, JT. So for this week's Consider This, I wanted to talk about the fact that nothing in life is really truly worth having doesn't come easily. For example, I'm an artist, as Matt has explained, but that's not something that I was just born with. I wasn't gifted with it. It's a skill, and it's a skill that I've spent many, many years learning and practicing and doing. So if you're looking at if you're looking at something that you admire from somebody, that you should consider this, that they likely worked very hard for that particular skill, for that particular ability that they have. And don't consider it as just this magical gift from God, that they likely really worked hard for that particular ability.
Very nice.
There's a great quote in Kung Fu Panda that says, "There is no secret ingredient." That's probably my favorite quote from that movie. But yeah, it's just there is no secret ingredient. It really is just hard work and perseverance. And for whatever skill you want to attain, hard work and perseverance, and you will gain that skill.
I like that. Ryan, do you remember Miali, the 3rd edition Dungeons and Dragons, like standard wizard in all the books?
Yeah.
She was the elven wizard, and her philosophy of wizardry was talent is the box, training is the key that unlocks it. And that's kind of her wizardly philosophy, right? That she doesn't like sorcery, but I liked the point, right? Because you can be given all kinds of God-given talent, but training is what takes it to that next level. And I think Ben would know a lot about that. I would stack his art up against any other D&D artist out there. Ben does beautiful work. And in fact, you're looking right here at a group of 5 gentlemen who've all spent time on their education. And I have great respect for all 4 of these gentlemen in their different career fields. You've got 2 educators here, a marketer, a computer hacker, a computer programmer, tech guy, and an artist, and a training was a big part of that. And it's miserable. I hear a lot of D&D people talking about, wanting to break into that next phase, trying to get school started, and kind of floundering, where we creative people tend to flounder. And that training, I think, is what helps take you to the next level. So I think this is a very good point. Anything anyone else want to add?
Good stuff.
Okay.
Thanks for having me.
All right, Ben, we'll see you next week, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Same bat time, same bat channel. Unless someone's late again, which may happen.
Same bat time, plus or minus 30 minutes, right?
Plus or minus. Okay. Thanks for joining in, everybody. For those of you who are watching on YouTube, we love you too. We appreciate every second you give our show. Have a good night, everybody. Bye-bye.
Night. Bye.
Bye.